Hey, it's Kat at Orion Billing. This is Medical Billing Basics Part 2. I'm going to go more into detail on the medical billing process, which is still going to be fairly general because there just is a lot of detail to know about each of these tasks, and things can vary by medical specialty and location. But these are the typical tasks of a medical billing specialist. Often there is also a team of people, anyone from the person who answers the phone, the front desk, the office manager, the practitioner themselves. Any person in a practice may touch on pieces of this puzzle that results in getting your insurance claims paid and patient responsibility amounts collected. Or sometimes it could be up to one or two people, depending. It's manageable that way for a smaller practice, and it grows less and less manageable as a practice grows with more insurance patients. So this starts with patient demographic entry, creating the patient account basically in the software and correctly entering their name, date of birth, insurance policy information, address, primary insured on the policy, a copy of the front and the back of the insurance card. You always want to have that. Patient registration forms, all the stuff that starts out a patient account and gives you all the information that you're going to need to have on those insurance claims. Next step is the insurance verification. This is the process of determining the patient responsibility and the insurance coverage that a patient's plan may give them. Skipping or skimping on this step is truly lethal to the clinic income. It's vital that authorization and coverage limits are understood and communicated clearly to the patient so that they understand what they're going to owe, so that the copays, coinsurance, and deductible amounts that might be due are collected correctly at the front desk as accurately as possible. And I will be doing more videos on this down the road. Another point is that you want to ideally have these first two steps done before the patient comes in, minimally before they leave the office at their first visit. Then the patient sees the practitioner, and their procedure or CPT codes and their diagnosis or ICD codes are documented. Usually and ideally at the time of service before the patient leaves the office, the front desk will collect the appropriate amount from the patient for what they may owe for their deductible coinsurance or copays, and the front desk should also enter those payments into the patient's account so that they can be credited correctly. In cases where the practitioner is doing their own coding, they may enter the diagnosis and procedure codes maybe into a tablet or a computer that's in the treatment room, or they may jot down notes to be entered by themselves or someone else at the end of the day, perhaps the biller. And once the information on each patient encounter is entered correctly, then a claim is created. The biller will want to check the claims. Some people call this scrub and submit. It is the process of reviewing the claims to make sure they look okay, make sure any questions are answered. While a biller may not be a coder, it is important that a biller understands the codes that they're billing, along with their appropriate diagnosis codes and modifiers, so that they can be sure that the claims are going out correctly. And then the biller transmits those claims to the insurance payer. Mostly this is done electronically. They're sent to the clearinghouse, which is basically a financial intermediary between the clinic and the insurance companies. Some claims may be sent to the insurer directly. Some, like in the case of personal injury claims, might be PDF'd and emailed or faxed. Some might actually need to be printed and mailed on paper claims. Okay, so once the insurance companies have received and processed those claims, they respond and send payment via check or EFT, which is electronic funds transfer, and they send remittance information. The remittances are most commonly referred to as EOBs. That's explanation of benefits. That is the actual document that's sent to the patient. But the ones that are sent to the clinic that the biller would get are ERAs or electronic remittance advice. There are a few other things they could be called. Most people just refer to them all as EOBs. It's the remittance information. The biller will take that information, enter it into the patient ledger, And with all of that done correctly, anyone in the practice who needs the information can open a patient account and accurately see how much the patient owes, how much was paid at any given time. Very wise to do this very frequently so that things are up to date, so you don't miss timely filing deadlines on things that weren't paid, and so that patients get bills for items they might owe in a timely manner, not months after the fact. That brings us to the next step, which is the process of follow-up and denials management. The biller will need to communicate with the insurance payer to resolve rejected items or denied claims, and this should always be done if there are problems with claims. The medical biller will need to find out why something wasn't paid, possibly make claim corrections, send appeals, send queries to the insurance company, call them and ask them why they didn't pay, and put the time in to sit on hold sometimes, but it is very important and often also an underworked part of the job. The next step can be patient statements. Patient statements may often be sent out by a biller. It may be kept in-house and the office will send them out directly from there, depending on the practice. And the biller will then often need to answer or help answer patient questions about their bills. They may not understand why their insurance processed that way. If the office doesn't fully understand it, it can be very helpful to the practice if the biller can explain things to the patient every once in a while. I always like to know, if I'm not the one sending out the patient statements, I like to know when they're going to do it, because I'm expecting some calls or emails from patients or from the office, a little bit of extra traffic in that way to help explain things. Any good software has good reports. So the biller will run reports that will show them outstanding claims and outstanding patient accounts as needed. This can be done also to catch anything that may have fallen through the cracks. Sometimes insurance companies mysteriously never receive claims. It happens all the time. So you'll know what to resubmit and what you'll need to work on. And then finally, a biller may also need to coordinate delinquent patient accounts with a collection agency on behalf of their provider. I'm going to create a post with basic common medical billing terms, and I'll link it here in the description of the video. Though I highly recommend that in your study of medical billing, you look up any terms that you come across that you don't completely understand. If it doesn't make sense, get it understood rather than skipping it and just moving on and hoping for the best. It may really slow you down initially, but it will make the subject of medical billing much more understandable, and it will prevent you from making a lot of costly mistakes. Don't just ask someone else who may also have misunderstood the information. I come across this all the time on the internet in billing groups. People ask other people who also misunderstood it and they don't give them the right information. There are a lot of wrong answers out there. So look it up from a reliable source and get it understood before you move on, and it will actually speed things up for you quite a lot and help ensure that you're the biller who really understands it and does things right the first time. And this will also prevent the practice from potentially losing a lot of money on unpaid claims. So that's part 2 of medical billing basics. I am more than happy to answer any questions. Feel free to reach out. Check us out at orionbilling.com. Have a great day.